want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
Good day, Mad Men Mafia.
Yeah, I am Kirk Kim Samuels.
And I am Jason B. Kendrick.
That's right. And we are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
That's right. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
For y'all, man, I'm telling you, we are finding ourselves as we record this at the pretty much the tail end of 2025. The year 2025, I remember Y2K. I remember when that was a big deal and everybody was freaking out. The world was going to end because of 2 digits missing and all that kind of stuff. And here we are, 25 plus, basically 26 years past Y2K, man. If you remember that, you know how trippy it was, man. But here we are, man, at the end of another year.
Yeah, and of course, I have my own things about that. I think April 1st is really New Year's, but, Gregorian calendar, they put us on January 1st. So, whatever. But the real discussion that we should be having, the real discussion is what does masculinity look like in 2026?
That's a great question, man. That's a great question. And obviously, going into the new year, we have no idea what's ahead of us. I remember 6 years ago, I was all kinds of optimistic about going into 2020. Man, 2020 was going to be a great year. 2020, like clarity and vision. And we got we got less than a month into 2020 and we lost Kobe Bryant. And then there was this kind of buzz of this thing going around, this bug, this little sickness. And next thing a few weeks later, we in the midst of a global pandemic, man. So we never know, man.
Yeah, it's always this, adjusting, and keep on going. I mean, what else can you do? Is like you can make your plans. God laughs at you, and then you got to be flexible because things are going to change. But I think there are some things, there's some anchors, there's some pillars, there's some rocks that we can kind of build on to help us through the time, especially when everything gets crazy and we think it's going to be one way and it goes south. But especially as men today, I think we need to redefine in our own ways for each of us what masculinity means, because the masculinity of our grandfathers probably won't work today. The nice guy feminized masculinity of the last decade or so won't work moving forward. So we got to figure out what masculinity means for each of us and how we want to take that forward into the new year and years coming.
Yeah, we got to figure out as men, where are we going? We got to figure this thing out, man. I don't know if we need a convention, a meeting, or what, man. But we gotta take a vote or something, man, and figure out what's going on, man. What direction do we want to have? Most of us were raised by women primarily. We might have an image of a grandfather or one or two kind of male figures that we might have known when we were young. But and now a lot of us find ourselves in positions where we may have kids or not. We may have a relationship or not with a significant other. We may be in a position to be somewhat of a sage rather in our culture. But now I find ourselves like, man, when I was young, all of our family members that were my age now, I thought they were like dusty crack crypt keeper kind of old. And now, I'm like, okay, so at some point we got to figure out what we want to be when we grow up as men.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up Sage. I'm actually reading a new book called Sage, and it's about the second stage of manhood. And of course, we've talked about, I think there's many stages to manhood, but there's definitely a sage, the wise man, the elder stage. And for most of us, that comes after many years of falling on our face, failing forward, of making all the mistakes, and hopefully learning from those mistakes. Well, the thing that really kind of struck me when I was thinking about this topic is that we have an opportunity now, different than probably any other time in history and any other generation. We get to decide individually what masculinity means for us as men moving forward, and we get to decide. I think there are some anchors, there's some foundation, there's some things that are kind of ubiquitous that go kind of across the board. But upon those foundations, we can build our own unique masculinity. But it's like, to your point, what do you want to build? What do you want to be in the future? What do you want to be when you grow up? What does that look like for you? And how do you want to fashion and design your own flavor of masculinity, if you will, for the future? Like, who do you want to be, and work backwards? It's almost kind of that goal orientated thought process of what's the end result? How do I chunk that down to where I am now, and then build forward towards that, and use those thought processes, use those things that I've chunked down to as my pillars, as my steps to get me to that sage, that elder, that wise man, get me to that person I want to be in the future. Like Matthew McConaughey said, my hero is me in 10 years. Well, how do you get to become that guy in 10 years? What do you need to do? What's the foundation you're building that on?
We got to figure this. We got to figure out our legacy. We got to figure out, the greatest generation had a legacy, and that legacy, unfortunately, what mostly unfortunately was forged in war and in battle time and in hardship. And hardship does create something. Hardship. I mean, it hardens us to a point where there's something left behind. When I think of, hardship, I think of a ship, you know, plowing through the ocean. I used to be stationed on a ship and plowing through the ocean, and you look behind the ship and there's a wake. The wake, and you can follow that wake back at least some distance, depending on the size of the ship and how fast the ship is going and with sea conditions and that sort of stuff. But in any case, where the ship was based on the wake that it left behind. So what's going to be our wake? What are we going to leave behind? I mean, in 2 generations, when they look back on us, what are they going to think about us? What are they going to think about us as men, as a generation of men? And that's something that we got to decide. We got to contemplate on a individual level. It's also something that we need to contemplate and decide on a macro, on a group, on a generational level.
Yeah, I mean, there's a old quote, and I can't remember who said it, but one of the greatest things a man can do is to be of service, and whether that's serving the few, serving the many, being of service and having an impact on others. And many times our impact comes from how we show up in the world, how we carry ourselves, how we show respect and give respect. And so we have to decide what that means for us. And for some of us, working on a small level is best. For some of us, the big stage, you want to be a TED speaker, you want to be, affecting millions. That's best. But as long as you're of service and generating that legacy, and I think we do have a unique time in history now where we get to decide how we want to serve. In the past, you talk about the greatest generation, a lot of them really didn't get to decide that much on their own. It was like, you're drafted, you're going to serve. So they didn't get a whole lot of choice. They just knew that they needed to serve. And so they served their country. They served in war. They served in the farms in the Great Depression, whatever it was, they served. And so, especially nowadays with a lot of the younger generations and this, me first entitlement kind of mindset, they're missing that seed of service. They're missing that legacy mindset of how can I serve and make the world a better place? And just having that mindset of leave it better than I found it. So many of us are out there in this competition out in the business world, or it's me against the Joneses, or it's me against this guy. We're all in competition, and I got to beat him down and put him in the ground and step on him to get to the top. Well, doing things like that, those people that you stepped on will definitely be coming back to you, and you'll see them again. But if you're of a mind of service and you are in cooperation and companionship and working with a mindset of we are one, we're one family, we're one earth, and my legacy is to make this earth and this community and my time here make it better, then you're working towards the future in a positive way. So many of us get caught up in the rat race and it's all about competition and making the next dollar, next buck, but we're not thinking about the future. We're not thinking about leaving a better planet for our children, for our grandkids, for the future. And much of that is because of this idea of competition and black and white and me against the Joneses and everybody's out to get me versus I'm here of service. I'm here to make the world a better place and make my children and grandchildren's lives even better and easier because I existed.
To me, that speaks of purpose. You talked about service, and yeah, when you're drafted, you got to join the service. Maybe that's why they call it that. And when you're on battlefields of life, you don't have time for a whole lot of nonsense. You don't have time for a whole lot of competition. You don't have time for just a whole lot of garbage, man. And we got to come together, and we gotta do this thing together. And and yeah, as we get into to this topic, maybe it's an opportunity for us to explore almost like a state of the union slash vision conversation of, man, what kind of things do we need to do? What kind of things do we need to address? What kind of things do we need to consider as men going into 2026, man, going into this next year? This next year is the beginning of a new decade from 2026 to 2036. So, there's a lot of things that maybe we need to consider, maybe we need to change, maybe we need to stop doing, maybe we need to start doing. All those kinds of things, man, are things that I think are worth exploring in terms of what it looks like going into the future of men, of masculinity, of manhood.
Yeah, I think it'd probably be good maybe in the second segment we can unpack a little bit of how it used to be, how it's been, and maybe how we can take those lessons from the past moving forward and just kind of describe and decide for ourselves what maybe not should, but what it ought to look like, or maybe goals we can look forward to in the future as men, because what's going on now isn't really working. I mean, especially here in the West, marriages are in the toilet, relationships are in the toilet, families are in the toilet, kids' health, mental health is in the toilet. I mean, everything's in the toilet. Well, it's time for us to clean the toilet and maybe build something for a better future and a better tomorrow, because the way it's going now is not working.
Oh, it's definitely not working. Maybe it's time for us to flush the toilet.
Hey, do it.
And
You got the
flush the
handle.
toilet, get rid of all the crap, and then clean it and start all over again, man. So we'll explore that thing when we come back from this break. We'll get into some of that stuff. Yeah, maybe we'll explore the past and at least from our perspective and the look at that stuff going forward. So we'll check you back here in a minute with Madmen and Masculinity on KLDC.
Found my new cup, man. It's my inspiration while I'm drinking my sweet tea.
What is it? I ain't got my glasses on. What is that? Oh,
Best coach ever.
Best coach. Nice.
You better remember that.
Nice.
So yeah, while we're on the break, if you're watching us live, like and comment. We had some of our overseas folks commenting, talking. This conversation is so needed right now, and yeah, we think so. That's why we're talking about it, because I think it's time for us to be a little more transparent, a little more mindful about the future and about what we want to bring, what we want to create, because it's up to us. Nobody else is going to do it for us.
Yeah, to that point, if you got a comment, if you got a thought, what do we need to do? What's not working? What could work? Man, we'd love to hear your comments. Put a comment right down there, man, and we'll put it up on the screen. JBK will make it famous. Worldwide, you can go global. But yeah, we'd love to hear some feedback, man. That'd be dope. All right.
Ready to go?
Your boys are back.
Welcome back to
the show. Right. That's right. We are the Mad Men of Masculinity. This is KLDC 1220 AM in the Mile High City of Denver, Colorado. And on the interwebs everywhere. Holler at your boys on YouTube, Facebook, whatever podcast platform, all those kinds of things, man. Shoot, TikTok. I mean, you can follow us on all those things. Reach out to us and let us know what you think, man. Give us your comments.
Yeah, if you don't
Any
need radios
feedback from something we
anymore,
talked
you
about?
can actually stream us
Yeah,
live on 1220kldc.com. You can listen to us Saturdays at 8 a.m. Mountain Time and Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. So you can hear what we sound like on the radio, and then you don't have to look at us because I know we have faces for radio. That's all right though. We're not
yeah.
mad.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I don't care about that. My mama says I'm pretty.
Yeah, Mama know best.
Yeah, and we are today. We're talking about as we find ourselves recording this at the end of a year, looking forward into next year in terms of where are we as men? Where do we need to be? What are we going to be when we grow up,
Right.
metaphorically speaking? What do we need to be focusing on in terms of individually and collectively? And we said we would kind of look back in the past, and it's kind of weird because our perception of what men and masculinity used to be is probably way off because we don't, I mean, we can say what we thought or what our image was or what we pictured or portrayed, even what we projected on people from our past, men that we knew or whatever growing up. But we don't know what it was like back then, man. But at the same time, we can pontificate.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, shoot, we can probably go back and talk a little bit, maybe Grace generation. We had our grandparents, we had experiences with them, but beyond that, like we read history books, but I don't know. I think the basics of it is that most men for all of history, we're providers, want to protect our family, want to protect our children, we want to be the foundation and want to be the rock that is, builds our life on. And I don't think those things have changed, but I think nowadays, we looking back on history, there are some things that could change and some things that needed to change, how women were treated and how the workforce was, but there are, I think, a lot of things that have kind of gone askew that we need to bring back with like the family unit, marriages, having a larger family unit around to help raise these children. Because if we look at the evidence of today, the children aren't as healthy as they used to be. They don't have the mental health they used to be. They don't have the physical health they used to be with all the crap we're eating. And so having some foot in the past of tradition and family and those values, but with an eye to, emotional availability, being centered and grounded and, not being so single-minded. I know in the past there were a lot of we had the kind of stereotypical madman 1950s guy who was all about work and it was his way or the highway, and the woman didn't get any say, she had no voice. So some of those things that have changed are good, but I think you kind of we've kind of tossed the baby out with the bathwater. Like, okay, well, would you get rid of all that masculinity? It's like, well, no, not all of it was bad. A lot of it was good and necessary, and we can see the evidence of it now that not having masculinity in the home is the issue. It's not a lack of masculinity or toxic masculinity. It's not having masculinity in the house that is really the issue. So we can't toss everything out. We need to keep some of the foundational things. I think for men nowadays, it's a matter of we need to figure out what is our foundation, what do we stand on, what are our values, and then hold tight to those things because that's what we build our life on. That's how we hold strong while the storms of life rage.
Yeah. For a lot, excuse me, a lot of our generation, men were absent from the home. For a lot of us, at least in our age bracket, there wasn't a man physically around every day in the house. And I almost wonder if nowadays, whereas there may be a man present, masculinity may be equally as absent as the man was back in the day. And to me that kind of makes sense in terms of cause and effect. If I don't know what it is to be a man, then when I become a man in the household, then I don't know how to present in the household or in the family or even in the community, whatever. And so but I still look, my sense of my perception, my judgment of what manhood or masculinity was. Let's get back 2 generations. How about that? Let's exclude the generation before us. Let's get back 2 generations. And my perception was, that masculinity had a heavy sense of duty, a heavy sense of, yeah, I mean, a man was, he was fulfilled in his duty if he went out and he worked hard, and he kind of came home and provided for his family, or provided for the community, or whatever it was. And maybe that was the sense of fulfillment, not necessarily got to get ahead, got to get rich, got to get, this and that kind of stuff, but just a sense of duty in terms of, being a pillar. And I always say that, a pillar in a building is rarely, if ever, decorated. It's rarely, if ever, acknowledged, and it's rarely, if ever, appreciated until it's gone, right? I mean, fortunately, unfortunately, maybe that's how over the course of time men have shorter lifespans and that sort of stuff. But like I said, I think 2 generations ago, men slash masculinity just had a sense of duty attached to why you wake up in a day. You just come home and you're tired because you went whatever your job was. You worked hard, and you come home, and your sense of duty, if nothing else, was just providing for those around you.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with kind of the biggest changes in the past 100, 200 years is that men have always been providers, and that's how they found their purpose. That's how they found their duty, whether it was farming or hunting or, working the fields. And then it was a couple generations ago, okay, we started the Industrial Revolution. Now they're going to the factory, and then they're going to the office. But back then, that man could provide for the house, and his wife could stay home and raise the kids, and they could have the family unit. And it was much easier back then. And then now you got to have two people working. A lot of times you got to have 3, 4 people working to afford bills nowadays. And then we've kind of lost that. Well, my purpose is to provide and be the protector and the provider, and to preside over my household, and to be the man that creates the foundation, that creates the safety and stability, that brings home the income, so that I can provide for my family, so that my children can be healthy, my wife can be healthy, and that we can create this home life together. A lot of that's gone away. A lot of that you can't do that nowadays. And then, as even though the feminist movement started in a great direction, like, yeah, women needed their rights, they needed to work, they needed to have all those, rights, but now they have all those things, and it's kind of turned back on itself, where now it's a war against masculinity. And I think even the ladies now, we know a lot of them that are starting to realize that, okay, maybe I was bought and sold a bill of goods. And maybe this whole going out in the workforce and being a boss babe and having to do all the work and raise the kids by myself, maybe that's not exactly what I want, because now I'm tired. I got to do it all myself. Whereas before I had help. As before, there was a man who wanted to provide for me and protect me and give me all the things I use to create a home and a family. Now I got to go out there and make the money, and bring home the bacon and cook the bacon and then feed the kids and then put the kids away, and she's got no help. And a lot of men are suffering and dying because they don't have that purpose anymore. They don't have that duty anymore to provide for the family. And some of those things we need to bring back, that foundational masculine influence of protection and providing and presiding over his home, with a wife and a woman that wants to be a partner and wants to be a cheerleader and wants to be a companion, and not be in competition. I see so many relationships nowadays that are just competition. She wants to outdo him, he wants to outdo her. It's all competition, where a true family unit is teamwork, it's cooperation. You're there working for them, you're of service to them, and they're of service to you, so that the whole family unit can work. So bringing back some of that masculine service mindset, duty mindset, the mindset of providing and being of service to the family and to the community is something I think we really need to bring back. Plus, mainly because it's healthy for the community, but it's really healthy for that man to feel like he has a purpose and some legacy he's leaving behind.
Yeah, but what comes first, the chicken or the egg, in terms of in terms of men getting to the right spot? We talk about, if one of the things that made a difference or was different what back in the day was duty, then it's like, okay, did he have a sense of duty and therefore everything else fell in line, or did everything else line up for him to have a sense of duty? And I don't know. I don't know. That's the thing that I don't know that we can really answer these days, in terms of what that looks like. Was he the man and everybody else, again, kind of built around that foundation, or did everybody else see him or look to him as the man, and he became that thing. Again, I don't know. Was he Miyagi or was he Daniel-san? I don't know.
I think it's kind of a yes and. I think it was kind of both of those things because men back in the day had rite of passages. They knew they were men. They had that moment where it's like, okay, son, now you're becoming a man, and so they believed that they were men. They believed that they knew that this was part of their purpose. Their life purpose was to be the man, provide. There was those ingredients already laid out because that was how they were raised. And I think now for us as men, we need to get back to what is my secret sauce? What is it that makes me a man? What is my foundation? Build around that and then attract those things in because like we can give to our family, but if it's not a part of service and give back, and I see a lot of men nowadays that way, they're kind of getting sucked dry. But if you build who you are, it's kind of like, if you build it, they will come. Build your foundation, build your pillars, build your anchors, be the man you want to be, look to your future. Who do you want to be in 10 years? Start building that guy. And then make no bones about it. Like allow all the other stuff to fall away and allow those things that resonate with you, that are cooperative and supportive of that dream and that vision to come in. And then just like you said, you will start to either they look at you as a man, or they probably will, because if they're coming in to your frame, then they're looking at you as man, and then they will build with you and you build with them. And so it's kind of that both and sort of thing where you're being the man you want to be. You're being the man that's going to be your hero in 10 years. You're doing those things to become that guy. Then that will attract those people in that are supportive of that, they're cooperative of that could probably build a family and relationship with. And so it's kind of a both and sort of thing, but it starts with you deciding, who do I want to be in the future? What steps do I need to take to become that person? And then sticking to that, creating that foundation, not letting anybody push you off of that. And speaking of push you off of that, I think it's time for us to push ourselves a break. So we'll be right back. We are the Madmen of Masculinity. You're listening to us on KLDC. See you in a minute. Thank you, Lucas, for that comment. I'll put you up on there and make you a little famous. Making him famous.
I can't read that. What did Lucas say?
This episode challenged a lot of modern narratives and actually made me reflect on my own growth as a man. That's awesome. That's
right on, my man. That's my dog. Right on, dog. That's a good place to start, man. Maybe that's what we're launch off on this. See
how interactive we are. We're gonna take your idea and run with it.
Boom. We're flexible like that.
Yeah.
We're elusive.
But we can't have all the answers. We can just here and talk to each other all day. We need some help.
No. Yep. All right.
Ready, set,
Yep. We're back. Madmen of Masculinity. KLDC 12:20 a.m. in the Mile High City. Man, we're everywhere, man. Online, your boys, man. I think I had matter of fact, you can ask, I won't say it because there's one in the room, but Alexa, you can ask her to find us on there, man, and she'll find us and you can play us on there, man. Apple, my TV, I forgot which one, but one of the apps on my Roku TV, I pulled up there, and man, you can find it. And again, all your podcast platforms. Look for your boys on there, man, and
get on your smart TV, on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere. You can go on 1220 KLDC and stream us live on there. We're everywhere.
All of the things, man. We ain't new to this. We true to this. We've been at this for years at this point. Every now and then YouTube will send us a new milestone that we reach, which is pretty cool as far as views and all that kind of good stuff. But today we're viewing the idea of masculinity in 2026 as we record this at the end of 2025, looking forward. And, we talked about the past. And as we talk about the present state of masculinity, first of all, you did a little chat GPT thing on masculinity in 2026. And so since that's the future, I'm gonna reserve my thoughts on that one until we get to the last segment, because I think I got some old man on the front porch kind of thoughts on that thing. Some get off my lawn thoughts on what that had to say. But in terms of the modern state of masculinity, in a whole lot of ways, I think that women are more masculine than men
Yeah.
these days. I think there's more masculinity amongst the women population, the female population, than men, and maybe a lot of that did have to do with the bill of goods, the jacked up bill of goods they were sold with modern femininity, and realizing that wait a minute, we just signed our own lunch ticket as far as what that actually means, and now they gotta pay for buying into some of the extreme views of modern feminism, whereas, maybe the other extreme wasn't great in terms of, women not being able to vote and, having different limitations and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, when the pendulum swings the other way and things go too far the other way, then it's like, well, wait a minute, now what does this mean for me? Am I happier? Are we happier in terms of women? I don't think so. And like I said, I think they've become more masculine than the general population of men, and I don't think they're happy about it. So the state of masculinity currently, I think, a home field advantage goes to women.
Yeah. No, I think the state of masculinity currently is pretty abysmal. And to quote one of our other kind of masculine centric podcast guys, they were talking about Helena Troy. Helena Troy was so feminine, so in her feminine energy. Wars were fought over her. I mean, and this whole modern notion of I got to be a boss babe and in my masculine. Well, so many ladies say nowadays, "Oh, men are intimidated by me." It's like, no, a real man, a masculine man, isn't intimidated by you. He's just tired of you. He's got no energy for that mess. He's tired of. He's got to go to work and fight all those battles, and you want him to come home and fight you too. Like, who wants that? Who wants to come home and fight? Who wants to come home and hang out with another dude in a dress? None of us want that. If we wanted that, we if there was some way to turn gay, we would do that. We just go hang out with dudes all day in dresses. But most of us can't do that because we don't have that gene or whatever the thing is. So we are stuck with filtering through all these masculinized ladies, these alpha boss babes, looking for a lady who's still in her feminine, who still wants to have a relationship, who doesn't want to be in competition. And what's really interesting is a lot of ladies who've gone through this feminist narrative and come out the other side realizing it's not what it's all cracked up to be. It's not making them happier. It's not making them more attractive and successful. It's not getting them the results that they thought they would get. They're starting to realize, like, oh, maybe I should stop being a boss babe. Maybe I should stop being so in my masculine and so alpha. Maybe I could just soften. And what I've found and what I've heard so often is when they finally let go the control, they start to soften, they start to get in their natural feminine nature. They're so much happier. They're so much more relaxed. They're so much more peaceful because they're not playing a role that they weren't meant to play. They're not playing this alpha masculinized version of women. They're not playing this, CEO wannabe boss babe lady. They're actually being able to be nurturing and caring and loving and being that in that natural feminine nature. And a lot of them are even more healthy that way, just because they finally like let go of all that toxic stuff that they've been carrying around, thinking that's what they're supposed to do.
I want to say something real quick to the women out there that are offended right now.
Yeah, that's you.
We're talking to you.
Yeah.
We're talking to you because you've been sold a bill of goods that equality and sameness are one and the same. That equality equals sameness, and how's that working out for you? Like, really, how's that working out for you as a population of women? Are you more fulfilled? Are you more, are you more at peace? Do you have peace? Are you more, how's the state of your relationships? How's the state of your last relationship? You probably ended your last relationship because, 70, 80+% of relationships end, by the woman. So, I mean, like, how are you? And then what has that meant for you? I mean, again, it in my mind, what I see is now you got to pump your own gas all the time, and nobody feels sorry for you. Now you got to go kill the spider. Now you got to take out the trash. Because now you want to be the same in ways. I've never heard a modern feminist protest to be included in registering for the draft. I've just never heard of that. Maybe some of y'all have. And so you got to ask yourselves though, when, like, again, are you happy? Are you more fulfilled? And I mean, again, how's it working for you? Y'all figure out what is what that is and what that's not. But I'm asking you, I don't see the state of women being happier. Like, I mean, to me, and we still don't even have a consensus. What do you call that woman in that YouTube clip that's asking to speak to the manager and she's chewing everybody out and she's getting the attitude and all that kind of stuff? What do you call her? We all know we call her a Karen. She has a name. What do you call a guy doing the same thing? We don't even know. We don't have a consensus on that because you don't, what I mean? You don't see the same number of those videos out there of guys complaining, asking to speak to the manager. So you guys are just, you're less healthy. You're less fulfilled. You're less at rest and at peace. You're not protected as much as you used to be. And, you're as much as a victim now in terms of abuse and different kinds of assault and those sorts of things than you've ever been. I mean, you're objectified these days. You guys objectify each other. How does it feel getting all those needles in your face? For what? Like, who told you you needed to get all that? It probably wasn't a guy. I mean, who told you you needed to compete for all of the top, you need to out earn every guy? And who told you that a guy needs to earn six figures to date you? Who told you that? I mean, you've been sold a bill of goods. And like I said, if you're offended, then I don't feel sorry for you because I'm talking to you. I mean, and I don't care if you like me or not. I'm not looking for none of y'all to like me, but you got to ask yourself, look in the mirror. Again, how happy are you? When you look in the mirror, how happy are you? And why is the commercial industry monetizing out of the yin yang off of women not being happy, fulfilled, pretty enough, all these other kind of things? Why is that? I mean, you got to ask these questions.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen YouTube, TikTok surveys, guys, doing the on the street surveys, talking to people, and every lady thinks that a man wants a BBL, and then every man they talk to, they want natural. Most men would prefer a woman that wears less makeup than more. And so if you look at who's pushing that, it's business. You've been commoditized. The pharmaceutical industry, the cosmetic industry, all these surgeons and all these people have commoditized you to make you feel like this is the example and the ideal that you need to chase. And most men just want a feminine, natural girl next door woman who's nice and peaceful. This whole boss babe, make $1 billion and then you still want the hypergamous, choices and ideals of, well, he's got to be taller than me, he's got to make more money than me, he's got to be more successful than me. In what world does that make any sense? But because you're emotionally driven and you have been commoditized, all the media tells you it's got to be this way, and you believe that, and then your girlfriends get on board with it, and then they tell you that because they're emotionally driven because they don't want to be wrong. And there is that accountability piece that is really hard for some reason for a lot of ladies nowadays, that you've made choices and now you're suffering the repercussions. And most men are not intimidated by you. Most men are just tired of the games and the stress and the headaches, and so they're just taking a step back. Like, okay, you want us to go away, you hate men, you think masculinity is evil, fine, we'll just step up over here. Good luck with that. And most of us are just sitting back here laughing, going, well, how's that working for you? Because it doesn't look like it's all that great.
And and that's a great point in terms of the response of men and everything that I'm talking about, everything that we're talking about now. I think men and masculinity have in a lot of ways decided, fine, if that's what you want, then cool. Most of us like women without a windshield forehead. Most of us like women with a little bit of curves. Most of us like women that aren't, out there trying to slay dragons. Most of us like women who, would rather invest in themselves and their inner peace so they can radiate outer peace than to invest in yourself, in all this, got to make yourself whatever. I go to the gym and there's more women in the mirror, admiring themselves and recording themselves and filming themselves and, than men. I mean, guys just want to go get a workout, and I can't put my dumbbell back on the rack because you crowding up the mirror. And I mean, so I think largely speaking, a lot of men are like, look, man, if y'all want to be dudes, go be dudes and go be dudes by yourself. And so a lot of us have kind of backed off on all the things that challenge us to aim in a direction of all those stereotypical kind of masculine traits and masculine pursuits.
Yeah, I mean it's not what you've been sold, ladies, and this bipolar, be a man, approach me, but don't talk to me, but don't look at me in the gym. I mean, most guys go to the gym, they got to put blindfolds on because you would step right in front of them and then try to put him on blast on TikTok like he's a creep. It's like he's just trying to get a workout in. And he's not all about all that and all that creepiness. So, and speaking of not about all that creepiness, we're going to take ourselves our last break. We will be right back. Madmen and Masculinity on KLDC.
Dude, that drives me crazy, man, when I go to the gym and it's like, come on, man. I mean, and then on top of that, half of them are in there just to be seen because they in there wearing
Wearing
like
the booty
a
shorts
bathing
and all
suit.
that stuff.
I literally wearing a bathing suit. And it's like, come on, man. I mean, do I really need to see all that? What if guys walked up in there with, nut crunchers on, nut huggers on, just flopping all over the place, man? What if guys walked up in there with thongs on it? They got them ruche backs or whatever, where it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
a bungee thing up their butt. I mean, it's like, how does that help you work out better?
I
Like,
think some of
how
the
does
dudes
that help you
that
get
make
a
fun of that
a,
make
a
make
deeper burn
yeah.
on your lunges or your squats or I mean, it's like, come on, man. I mean, but again, it's just like you just almost shake your head and just whenever I go to the gym, man, I got a hoodie. I wear my hoodie all the time, and I got my hood down. Like I don't even want to be bothered, man, because it can get kind of stupid up in there.
Yeah, I've seen some of the guys that are making fun of that, like, how the girls wear the little booty shorts and then the long t-shirts that don't look like they had nothing on, and some guys walking around like that and making fun of it because it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Logan says, "Love this episode. Separated confidence from ego. The distinction is rarely discussed." That's right, because
Nice. Drop that wisdom, Logan.
yeah.
Drop that wisdom, my guy. But
So, fourth
we'll talk
quarter,
about
we're
the
gonna talk
future.
about masculinity in the future. Drop your comments, your likes, your loves, and we will finish this thing
What
out
y'all
strong.
think? All right, here we go. Your boys are back.
Resurrect.
That's right. Your boys are back. Shout out Crawford Radio. Shout out, our main man, producer Tanner.
Santa
Shout out
Claus.
everybody, man. Shout out everybody doing their thing out there, man. We just out here, just trying to make a difference, man. Just having conversations, guy conversations, man. That's all we do.
That's right. Or smash that like Rob says. I mean, we need your likes, we need your loves, we need your comments, and we're just trying to leave a little legacy, try to plant some seeds, try to be a little positive. I know we just
Yeah.
spent the last segment talking all about the ladies and stuff, but it's just shining a light. If you're
Yeah.
offended by what we
And,
said,
and you know what? And every guy, guys know exactly what we're talking about, man. That's the thing. I mean, these are real conversations, man, and dudes know exactly what we're talking about, man. And I bet you there's a lot of guys out there like, man, I wish she was listening to this.
oh yeah.
I bet you a lot of guys like, man, I wish that girl was thinking to listen to this, she was listening to this, and she was listening to this right about now.
Most guys would agree with us nowadays that there's, I mean, it's always happened, but for most of us, we're hunters and we're supposed to go out there and make the first move and approach these ladies. And most of us get so disappointed because you ladies are good at makeup, you're good at all the fillers and stuff, and you make yourself look good. You make yourself literally look like a different person. And then we come up and talk to you, and there's no personality, there's no depth, and we're just like, oh, another one. And so that's why I was saying for masculinity in the future, for masculinity in 2026, men, we've got to build our foundation. We got to decide who we want to be in the future, live by that, and allow that to get all the scabs and all the weirdos and all the ladies don't match us, just get them away and then attract those ones in that will meet our frame, that do want to have a cooperative relationship, that do want to be supportive, do want to be feminine. Because this simp culture, and Kirk went on a rant about this, I think, on the last episode, but this simp culture is killing all of us. So, men, you need to decide who you want to be. What is your foundation? How do you want to be masculine in 2026? Live by that and don't take no BS. Don't take no guff. Don't
Yeah.
take none of this masculine energy from these ladies. Just be like, next. The right lady will show up who wants to be in cooperation, who wants to be in partnership, who wants to be your cheerleader, who wants to be a part of what you're bringing to the table.
And you know what, man? And I am going to get into that whole GBT thing, but man, since you brought it up, this is the one thing that I was like, man, if I don't forget nothing else, if I don't remember nothing else, this is the one thing I hope and pray and wish and all that other kind of stuff for men, for masculinity going into this new year. Dude, we got to stop simping.
Yeah.
We really do, man. We really, as a group of men, got to stop simping, man. I'm so tired of seeing men chase unvaluable women.
Yep.
and just pouring affirmation onto women who don't deserve it. And we almost hype up the wrong things. We make them think that they are everything if they will be pretty or if they'll show us anything. And it's like we don't make them earn or work for nothing. I mean, I'm talking collectively. I'm talking you go on social media and any female can post a picture of herself. Do I look pretty? And I go straight to the comments and there's a bunch of chump simps out there, a bunch of simpletons. Oh, I wish I could meet you. And do you really want a boyfriend? Do you really want a man? Oh, I would treat you this and that and all that kind of stuff, man. On the dating apps and and I used to be on the dating apps, man, back in the day, man. And and if you notice, how many of them have the camera and that opening profile? They always got a little bit of cleavage. If they got any, they always got a little bit of cleavage showing in that thing, and they. They'll flash a little bit of this and flash a little bit of that, and their inbox is full of guys. And it's like, man, we got to stop rewarding low effort. Yeah. I mean, that's the crux of simping. We got to stop rewarding low effort. We don't require anything to open up the wallet, to open up the register, to give them a win. At least Vegas makes you pull the lever or hit the button a bunch of times before you get paid out. Man, as soon as we pay them out immediately. They get like first dollar. And so we as men, man, we got to start upping the bar on what we require from women in terms of the simpage. The level of simpage out there is rampant.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Men, you need to have self-respect. And that self-respect comes from discipline, a sense of duty, foundation of looking at your life like you want to leave a legacy. You want to make the world a better place, and then allow the women that resonate with that to come to you. You are the prize nowadays, men. Good men are the prize. If you have masculine energy, if you have a job and a roof over your head and you pay your bills and you're not trying to bother nobody and peace is your number one ideal, you are a high value man nowadays. You hold the keys to relationships. She may hold the keys to sex. You hold the keys to marriage, relationships, and all that stuff. So you need to look at yourself as a prize, because nowadays ladies have commoditized themselves so much that they look good, but they don't bring much to the table. I mean, nowadays they're giving it away all day, every day. I mean, they're giving it away in pictures, they're giving it away in real life. They're just giving it away. So you need to look at yourself as a man of value. You need to look at yourself like, I'm the prize here. I'm the one that holds the gate to relationships, and treat it as such. Don't just go out there simping and with your nose wide open and just taking what you can get, taking scraps and leftovers. These girls that have got more miles on them than a rental car. You need to respect yourself enough to be like, hey, I'm the prize. I'm the one that holds the gate to relationships. So I need to make sure that the most important decision I ever make, which is my partner, the woman I love, the woman I marry, is actually somebody that I want to marry. And you got to vet them. You got to make, put them through the ringer and make sure that they are who they say they are. And usually it takes about 18 months because crazy can only hide for so long.
Like you said, women hold the keys to sex, men hold keys to relationship. Women use sex to get relationship, and unfortunately, men use relationship to get sex. And so, so us as men, we've got to get to the point where we are willing to say that's not enough. We're willing to. Now you got to know the hottest chick out there is insecure. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're by far 99.999% of women out there have some kind of thing inside their mind that says, "Am I enough?" Now, this is not something for us to manipulate, but this is something for us to understand that the chick that is willing to look you up and down and say you don't make enough money and all that, they're pretty clear with their standards. They are crystal clear. You got to make this much. You got to be. They don't want a man that's shorter than them. And I mean, they don't want a man that's less fit than them, and they're pretty clear about that. And then when we turn the page, when we turn the mirror around, because it doesn't happen often, and we say, well, here's what we require from women. We want you to maybe have some kind of requirements, whether it be physical or emotional or whatever. All of a sudden it's offensive. Oh my goodness. How can you say, well, that's because we don't do it enough. We got to understand as men that we hold way more say so because women want relationships. A lot of them are willing to trade sex for just a feeling of relationships, and they think they're valuable because men will have sex with them. A woman is not valuable because a man will have sex with her. That's like that. It just doesn't happen. I'll go to Disneyland. Doesn't mean that I really want to love Mickey Mouse. It just means I want to go have some fun for a day. And so, but we as men, man, we got to have some value in our masculinity. We got to start investing in that thing, and we got to start having some kind of standards for what we require from especially from women in our culture. And like I said, man, I'm just so wrapped up on simping. I'm about to run out of time for my chat GBT thing.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes right down to it, guys, we got to have more self-respect. I mean, the fact that these girls can get on and show their butts and have sex on OnlyFans and they make millions of dollars shows us exactly what the problem is. It's not them. They're doing it because they can make money at it. And I mean, how easy would that be if we could do that as guys? I mean, if we had equal pay on OnlyFans and we could just stay home and show our butts and have sex on camera and make millions of dollars, none of us would ever leave the bed. But they have capitalized on that because we are being weak and not valuing ourselves enough to say, no, I don't want fake. I don't want two-dimensional. I want real, and I want real that's healthy and that works for me. And so in the future, you got to think long term. You got to have a depth of vision, a wide aspect of vision, and say, what do I want myself to be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? What do I want my legacy to be? That guy in the future needs to be my hero. That's who I'm working towards. Means valuing yourself, means creating some discipline, means creating the wealth of character that would generate and attract the woman that you want to have. When you give your energy away to two-dimensional ladies online, they're just stealing your money and your attention. You're not using that money and attention towards your new self, the new guy, your hero of the future 10 years from now. That's who you want to be.
And finally, my chat GPT rant, and I'm gonna keep this short because we ain't got a lot of time. You
Go
put
for it.
in chat GPT, and the thing that this is my old man on the front porch. The thing I didn't like about that response is that it was all over the place. It was kind of everywhere. We need to be this and we need to be that. We need to be able to be this and be that. And I think maybe we just need to simplify this thing. Maybe we need to simplify the formula instead of having, the college two-story chalkboard where all these, maybe we need to simplify, find a place to have some purpose, find a place to provide and people to provide for, and find a space for you to protect. Find an opportunity, for you to create safe space for some place, whatever that is. And so, as far as I'm concerned, man, we don't need to overcomplicate. We don't need the crayon box with 127 colors in it. We need the little simple box with the fat crayons in there because there's only 6 of them, if that. That's the formula. That's where we need to go as men.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, guys, the way things have gone, if you are just a valuable traditional man with self-respect and you're out there trying to better the world, you're using your voice, you're using your skills to better the world, you're going to attract a lot of ladies. You're like, ooh, you different. Ooh, there's something special about you. Then you need to vet them. But this whole simping and chasing them online and giving them all this virtual attention, that's not working. That's not doing anything but taking away your energy and your stamina and your money. You need to focus on yourself, make yourself the best version you can be. And as you do that, you'll attract what you're looking for. Because nowadays, we all got to do it. We got to get off the social media. We got to get off the TikTok. We got to get off this mile wide and inch deep stuff and start getting deep personally to find the value, the intimacy, the depth, the self-respect, and the legacy that we want to create. It's not going to happen on the screen. It's not going to happen online. It's going to happen in person. And if you can actually have a conversation in person nowadays, you're a freaking unicorn. Most people can't even talk to each other in person nowadays. So work on your social skills, get out there in public, talk to these ladies, vet them, but be a man of substance. Know that you're the prize. Know that your masculinity is not toxic. It is actually the blessing, what the world needs. It is the elixir and the nectar of life. We need more healthy masculine men.
Yeah. In
Any last
terms of
thoughts?
women, the guys that chase women are the ones that get them. And in terms of life, when we focus on our legacy, when we focus on the story we want left behind, then we end up being better off in this life as it is, man. And so, holler at your boys, Facebook, YouTube. Let us know what you think. Let us know your thoughts. You agree, you disagree, anything we leave out. We want to know. We want to know your take on this whole thing, man. Maybe we'll have this conversation again, or conversations like it going on in the future. But we love every single one of you guys. If you listen to us live here at the end of the year, have a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Know that your boys, Mad Men, Masculinity, me, and JBK are out here. We love you guys, man. We're here for you. Reach out. We'll have a phone call if you want, man. But we're here for you, and we appreciate every single one of y'all. And so until next time, the Mad Men of Masculinity are OUT.
We are out.